Hello from Central Virginia. Today it's the beginning of August and I gotta tell you something. Here in my garden, things are an absolute mess. I mean, a mess. You know how they say you can never have too much of a good thing? Well, that's just simply not true, because one of the good things that we've had a little bit too much of in July is rain. A whole lot of rain. And it just kept coming and coming and coming at us. Not, an inch a week or 2 inches over the course of a week, once a week or twice a week, but almost every single day, an inch to and 2 inches even yesterday. And it's been coming in these powerful downpours. On top of that, we had some super hot weather. I've talked about that in previous videos. So I decided I'm going to show you a disastrous garden, and then I'm hoping in a week to show you a garden that is getting rehabilitated and coming back. Now, all is not lost. I have had some good things happen. I have had an amazing abundance of tomatoes already. I'm really grateful that I planted them early, because it enabled me to get a good yield of tomatoes before all this rain burst out of the sky and the heat and humidity and everything else. Usually we don't get this kind of humidity really bad and the hot stuff until August. And the past few years we've actually had some dry summers, dry spells. So now, today, remarkably, it is a balmy 73 degrees and overcast. It's not supposed to rain for the next few days, although it sure feels like it might. There's a breeze, which is good for the garden. All right, so let me first off talk about the good things. Tomatoes have been awesome. I got a fantastic potato yield. I got a good garlic yield. My onions did okay. My first round of bush beans did fantastic. My early pole beans did great. And I have amazing pole limas growing back behind me in this lima bean tunnel. I have good things happening. I've got some awesome pumpkins in this lower garden that are growing along. Now, let me tell you some of the bad things. Well, rain. My cucumbers got hit by cucumber beetles for the first time ever, and that brought with them bacterial wilt. Not only did those cucumbers get hit by bacterial wilt and die, those beetles got onto my first round of squash and did the same thing. So my first round of squash was also a total wipeout, which is a bummer. My eggplants did great, and now they're not. And I think there's a combination of a few things that are happening there. The lanternflies seem to be going after my eggplants in a big way. So next year I'm going to have to figure out how to mitigate that a little bit. All right, so it's a mess. Do you really want to see? If you don't like disaster movies, maybe you shouldn't take a walk with me. On the other hand, if you love living in another person's disaster, come along. Garden teaches resiliency, and hey, that's what we got to be here. All right, shall we start with something nice or something ugly? Let's go with something nice. Look at this. This is a volunteer melon. I have absolutely no idea what kind of melon it is, except that it seems to be putting off a lot of potential fruit right there. Here's the first actual melon to appear. Now, sometimes with melons, you just don't know, because if they're not, they might not come back true to what the original plant was from the seed, and they might not taste so good. But I'm letting this one go because, hey, it seems to want to go. All right, another good thing, in addition to the Monarda, which has been spectacular, and I need to cut that back again. These are my Chinese long beans, and they are doing great. They are not yet yielding, but they soon will be, because here you see the blossoms, and here you see a bean that's beginning to form. And so soon we'll have, hopefully, buckets and buckets and buckets of long beans. This is another thing. This bed is where I had I had all sorts of spring things growing in here, and carrots and such. I still have a couple carrots that are yet to be pulled, and I will probably do that soon, and I'm probably going to replant carrots in this as well. I have had a huge struggle with squash this year, and I've actually had to plant and replant several times, and this plant seems to be making it. It's a zucchini. The problems I've been having with my cucumbers and my squash this year have been epic. This is one of the few cucumber plants that seems to be growing finally. It's a Suyu long, but this little friend, its neighbor, not so much. It's gone. See? It's just nothing there. I'm going to go ahead and pull it. It's not doing anybody any good. And here we go. Pull that too. But this one maybe will grow, and this one looks like it's starting to grow. Although, look, it's got some nasty stuff on there. I just don't know about that. However, on a good note, this is my bean trellis. And these are lima beans, pole limas. And as you can see, they are going like absolute crazy. Okay, here's a jungle, and here's a part that I'm a little bit worried about. I had cleaned up these after our last big rainy spell and heat spell, and I have picked a boatload of tomatoes. Let's say the positives. On the positives, I have been getting tons and tons and tons of tomatoes. But this rainy spell has been tough. You can see that this plant in particular right here is just, it's got a lot of stuff going on and die off on it. So I'm going to have to come in again and treat these plants, spray them down on the next day with the hydrogen peroxide and see if we can keep them going. Here are some nice tomatoes, but then because of the rain, you get this happening. A split tomato. I'm still going to take this one and cut it, and we'll eat it. Right. Here is my sauce patch, which I did a video a few days ago. I said I was picking them all, and then it started raining, and I couldn't get out here to do it. So I will come out tomorrow. This is the first thing, and we'll pick the ones that ripened after all. We'll throw the ones that are rotting away. We'll pick any green ones that happen to be in here. I don't think there are that many right now. And we'll go ahead and pull up these plants and get this planted. I've got some beautiful red pineapple sage here. And my beans have been interesting. My first planting of beans were great. I picked those. This is my second planting, which really got hit by beetles and then the rain. But I've got a few. Oh, look, there's a caterpillar right on the bean. I'm going to come out and pick these. These are my third planting. These are having a hard time. So we'll just see if they can recover from all of the heat. The heat really hit these beans hard. The fourth planting, though, here, they're looking significantly better. Here, well, these are lima beans, and they're looking pretty good. Here is a hedge of cherry tomatoes that were intentional cherry tomatoes. In other words, I actually planted them, and they are going berserk. 3 varieties here, and I've been picking them. These are the purple bumblebee. These are the little sweeties. And they are little sweeties, and I've been picking tons of them. And the other ones I have are the orange sunburst. That's these guys right in here. All of these have been picked almost every single day when we can get out. This area is a disastrous mess. It's a tomato plant in here I never should have put in. It's just not going to have that much room. But we'll see. It's a jubilee. Here's another squash plant. I've had to plant squash 4 times this season. But alas, this might be the only squash I get a whole year. But alas, look what I see. Right here, squash bug eggs. So I knock those off and squish them with my hands, making sure to get them all. The only real way to deal with squash bugs if you're growing organically is to check them like I'm doing every single day. Here's another cucumber beetle in there. They like to get in the blossoms, and I'm going to try to get him before he flies away. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come in, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to put some spinosad down at night. I'm going to do that and then wash it off first thing in the morning before the pollinators come out. And then we'll just do that for 3 days, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get rid of these awful cucumber beetles, because they did absolutely spread bacterial wilt and killed my squash. So I had to go ahead and pick this one, but alas, let's see what happens. Good news is I do have a Trumpicina squash plant growing up. I have been checking these carefully. We'll have to check for the cucumber beetles over here as well, and the squash bugs. But this plant has finally gotten itself established, and it actually has its first squash on it. And it's got another forming right here, and it is growing quite along. These plants, these chard plants, got really hit by the super hot temperatures in June, and then the rain came along, and they just got a lot of rot, and then something has been eating them. I don't know what's been eating them. So I will put some spinosad down on these because these are not pollinator dependent, and I will try to get these rehabilitated. Here's the other sad tale of my other cucumbers. This is my cucumber area, and it's done not diddly this year. The plants just haven't taken off. They've become sickly. The cucumber beetles got to them, and I'm kind of giving up on the cucumbers this year. Over here we have a nice patch of Henderson lima beans growing, and they have got plenty of blossoms on them, so I am looking forward to having some nice lima beans this year. I finally have a melon that has decided it's going to be able to grow. One thing I did that I shouldn't have done, and I'm going to pull right now, are all of these volunteer, these are ground cherries. They're growing all over the place. So don't worry, I've got plenty, but I just don't need them growing everywhere. They're taking up too much room, too much nutrient. Jungle. Absolute, complete, and total jungle. What have I done to myself? Well, I let too many volunteer plants take off. All of these ground cherries, which are delicious, just have overgrown the pathway, and I can't even get through there. The other thing that I did is this tomato plant that grows everywhere along this whole fence, cherry tomatoes, it's all volunteer. So that is something I note to self: do not let cherry tomato volunteers run amok. You're just going to have problems because they really are everywhere. So I'm going to cut back this plant so that my peppers, sweet peppers, there's some banana peppers there, and my bell peppers and all have a much better shot at living. I have so many cherry tomatoes, you just don't need that many. Okay, problems in Paradise area, the brassicas. These things have been so hit by the harlequin bugs, and I can't stay on top of putting anything on them because it's been raining so much. So I'm just going to be coming in, and I'm just going to be pulling these plants and hoping the harlequin bugs go somewhere else, not in my garden. Here's another squash plant, which we're going to have to carefully inspect for those awful cucumber beetles. So this is going to start blooming. That's good, and hopefully we'll be able to get some squash here in the latter part of the season. Got a lot of cleanup to do, as you can see. This is a volunteer and very large stand of 2 marigold plants. Happy. And these are actually volunteer zinnias. This is my squash tunnel, and I'm just training this squash plant. This is a butternut squash to go up this trellis and hopefully over the trellis. Here comes Sage. What have you been up to?
Exercising and reading at this time.
Have you been working on the path? The stone path?
A little bit, you know.
Yeah, good.
Along.
It's looking good.
It's quite miserable.
What's miserable?
Well, the gravel is just too big, so you have to babysit each individual stone.
But is it going to be beautiful?
It'll be beautiful when it's done.
It's going to be gorgeous. All right, so definitely have a lot of challenges. I haven't even shown you the outside of the garden. Just a couple of highlights outside of the garden. I do have gorgeous pumpkins. Well, maybe I'll show you the pumpkins because that's a good thing. My eggplants have been fantastic. I've gotten piles and piles of eggplants, but now the plants are getting under attack, I think mainly by the lanternflies, which seem to be coming after them a whole lot. Let me just take you out briefly and show you all that. Here's the outer garden. There are some beautiful things happening in the outer garden for sure. I have some very pretty dahlias. Got to come out and trim these up so they keep blooming. But this is my first year growing dahlias successfully. I grew these from seed. Here's some of the sad eggplant. This one is the only one that's really looked like it's super thriving. And it's the only one that hasn't really been plagued by the lanternflies for whatever reason. Don't know why. Been too wet for the lavender. So the lavender's just kind of hanging out and saying, please stop raining. On the other hand, the lemongrass is going crazy. So Thai food, here we come. And these tithonias are just spectacular. These are self-seeded Tithonias, and I don't mind them being here because they are just positively gorgeous and they're not in my way. I do have some watermelon. There's the sugar baby in here. This one's popped one melon here and another melon right here. Here is one of my pumpkin plants. Here's another tomato hedge that has been beaten down by the rain. Here is my deer trimmed blackberry plants. Now the blackberries are pretty much done and we harvested so many of them. Down there, a lot of tomatoes. I got to come in again, trim up these plants, wash them down, hose them down with the hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, not at the same time, and then tie up the plants for round 2. I've got some melons growing in here, sugar baby watermelon. Here are the growing hops, which are doing fantastic. So the husband should be happy with his hop situation. This is another plant that is getting plagued a lot by the lantern flies. Here are some of my eggplants that have been incredibly productive. And I do have some new growth on them down here, but they've just had tons of lantern flies on them. And I really think that they're doing a number on these plants. I'm going to harvest the fruit and see if I can get a second wind out of these plants. Some beautiful zinnias. Want to see my pumpkin patch going like crazy. There's several pumpkins that have appeared hidden in those leaves, and you can see more Taiwan long beans growing up that arch trellis, and more tomatoes and more dahlias over on the end. Another lemongrass plant. Next year I'll know, just plant a couple. This is my first apple that I'm picking. It's a Williams Pride. So thank you so much for watching my disaster movie video for today. I promise you next time, I hope, if all goes well, and the creek don't rise, which with all this rain it might, I'm hoping that I can get this garden in some semblance of better order. Of course, you're dealing with Mother Nature, and Mother Nature is powerful, very powerful, and Mother Nature is not happy with us right now. So I think we're seeing the results of some of that unhappiness. All right, thanks for watching. I hope your garden is faring a little bit better than mine, but if not, what do I always say? Oh yeah, what's the mantra? A garden teaches us to be resilient. Say that 50 times a day.